Sacco and Feliz, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFeliz.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 3rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunny and warm today, the high 82. Tonight and overnight clear, low 63. And then Thursday, even warmer, sunshine, high 86. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 61 and clear in Glen Cove out on Long Island. It's 56 and clear in Princeton over in New Jersey. And it's 58 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Bring on the Spurs. The NBA Finals begin tonight. It's too close to call in some closely watched California races. A Long Island dad won't win Father of the Year. Oh no, is George Santos in trouble again? And there have been more sightings of the sewer people. All right, let's get into it at 5:03. Can't wait for 8:30 tonight. Game 1 NBA Finals rematch of the Knicks and the Spurs from the 1999 Finals. The Spurs won that one. Knicks guard Miles McBride. He's totally pumped for tonight.
You have to enjoy the moment, be thankful for it, but understanding that it's going to take another level.
Knicks enter the finals on an 11-game winning streak, with a number of those wins by just huge margins. Despite that, the Spurs are the betting favorites to win the series. San Antonio seeking its first Larry O'Brien trophy since 2014. New York hasn't won one, of course, since 1973. Knicks coach Mike Brown says his team's ready.
We have to be very intentional with everything we do, because you're going to be pulled at in a ton of different directions. But at the end of the day, it's all about going out and playing that game and getting a win.
Now, the big obstacle in the way, Victor Wembanyama, he's having one of these Hall of Fame seasons. He says he's inspired by past Spurs like Tim Duncan, who've been around, I guess, the locker room this season.
We're really being put in the best settings. It's like they're carrying us, and they're guiding us in the right direction.
And then here in the city, fans going crazy. There will be a watch party at Madison Square Garden tonight, but if you did not get your ticket, forget about it. Those tickets went on sale for $10 a piece Tuesday afternoon to watch the Knicks battle the Spurs inside their own arena on big TV screens. But for many who tried to get tickets last second, they were gone.
By the time we got there, they were sold out. So then we said, let's check Vivid Seats, over $700 for watch party tickets.
Isn't that amazing? Those $10 Madison Square Garden tickets, which, by the way, they're all going to charity, which is nice. They were gone in an hour. And scalpers, at least as of late last night into early this morning, were asking for $700 for those tickets. It's hard to imagine someone would pay $700 to watch a game on big screens with other fans. I mean, it sounds like it'd be a good time for $10. For $700, that's a whole different ballgame. Free tickets were also offered to attend a summer stage watch party in Central Park. That's where they have all those big concerts during the summer. They are gone too. So you can just see the city is just going bananas for the finals. Game 1 tonight is at 8:30. Justin will have, of course, more on Game 1 coming up at 5:15. WABC News Time 5:08. Lots of congressional races. Primary day in New Jersey. Primary day in a number of states around the country. In New Jersey, Rebecca Bennett, a former Navy helicopter pilot, won the Democratic primary in a battleground New Jersey congressional district to take on Republican Congressman Tom Kean Jr. Now, this race is interesting because Tom Kean Jr. has been absent from Congress for months with an unspecified illness. So what that will do in terms of the race come November, Rebecca Bennett against Tom Kean Jr., just don't know. It'll be played out in President Donald Trump's Bedminster neighborhood. You know, he has his golf club there. Voters there will be going to the polls come November. The other race we've been watching in New Jersey as well, this one down in the Trenton, Princeton area, my hometown. Dr. Adam Hemaway won New Jersey's crowded Democratic primary for the 12th congressional district last night, positioning himself to succeed Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, who is retiring. Now, knowing this district well since I grew up there, it's hard to imagine a Republican could win there, so likely Adam Hemaway will move on to be the next congressman from that district down in New Jersey. And then we've been watching these races all across the country keenly. The voters in California's race for governor, the votes rather, still being counted at this hour, but it looks like Democrat Javier Becerra has won at least one of the positions to move on to the November race, and it looks like Steve Hilton will win the other one, but there's still a lot of absentee ballots to be counted, so things could change. Now, Javier Becerra came out and talked to his supporters earlier this morning.
As your governor, I am ready to lead the fight to uphold California's promise. Donald Trump is doubling down on decline and counting on people being too fearful, distracted, or gullible to fight back. Well, he didn't count on us. We'll build a government that runs not on promises, but on time and under budget.
And Republican Steve Hilton, he was feeling pretty optimistic late into the evening as well. So right now, as the votes are still being counted in California, it is Javier Becerra, number 1, Steve Hilton, number 2, and Tom Steyer, number 3.
We're not there yet, but it's looking good.
That was Steve Hilton talking to his supporters earlier this morning out in California.
It looks very much as if Californians really will have the chance to vote for change in November and take our state in a new direction. Change is coming to California. Change is coming to California, and it's long overdue.
With many ballots still left to be counted, 3 candidates emerged at the top early this morning: Steve Hilton, Democrats Javier Becerra, and Tom Steyer. But still, some could change. Warn you here, in the weeks ahead in California, mail-in voting is incredibly popular, and they take great pains, at least they say they do, to verify each ballot. So it could take days for the top 2 candidates to become clear. So, of course, we'll have to watch that in the coming days. And the other race in California that people were watching very closely is the race for mayor. The current mayor, Karen Bass, was trying to get another chance to be mayor, hold on for another 4 years, and she'll have that opportunity at least to run come November. Now, the way it works for mayor is if you get over 50% of the vote, then you're mayor. If you get under 50%, then there's a runoff. So there'll definitely be a runoff in this race. The question is, who will Karen Bass face? It looks like right now it will be reality star Spencer Pratt. But again, there we have the absentee ballots still to be counted, so it's not 100% clear that he's in. But it looks like Karen Bass is, and she celebrated last night.
We have led a grassroots campaign because we want to bring change to our city, and that's what we've been doing, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Okay, so as of early this morning, you had Karen Bass at 34.8%, right behind her. Pratt at 30.4%, and the third candidate, the socialist candidate, down like 9 points, Rahman. So it looks like it'll be Pratt versus Bass come the fall.
Los Angeles is where I was born and raised. Los Angeles is the city that I love. Los Angeles is the creative capital of the world, where we dream and we make our dreams come true.
All right, that'll be an awful...
Our industry was leaving, but we're bringing it back.
Okay. All right. That'll be an interesting race, no doubt, to watch come the fall. 5:13. Down to Washington, where Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says the Trump administration is giving up on that controversial anti-weaponization fund.
We're not moving forward with the fund. You're right that there's a date that in the case in the East District of Virginia in June, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Yeah, it comes after the Justice Department says it'll abide by a court ruling that temporarily paused the fund. It was established from a settlement reached between the Trump family and the IRS to resolve long-running disputes, and they wanted to take that fund and pay for people who they say were weaponized or were unfairly treated during the Biden administration. And there were a host of Republicans who did not want the president to do that.
That there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
All right, so for now, anyway, it does not look they're going to spend too much effort trying to get that weaponization fund going. In a moment, we'll head over to the White House, where we'll hear about the move to make a whole bunch more drugs affordable to everyday Americans. They added a whole bunch to that Trump RX website. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noam Lane. Of course, tonight is the night game one of the NBA Finals, something that a lot of New Yorkers have been waiting, 27 years for, our return to the NBA Finals as the Knicks get set to tip it off with the Spurs tonight out in San Antonio. 4.5-point road underdogs as they head into game one. Of course, San Antonio does have home court advantage, so the first two games of this NBA Finals will be out there before the Knicks return home. Side to the Diamond in Seattle, the Mets lost 8-3 to the Mariners in the middle game of a 3-game interleague series, dropping the first two in the series in the process. New York tied it in the third on a 2-run homer by rookie Carson Bench, who had a solo shot off Logan Gilbert in the sixth. It was the first multi-homer game of his major league career. With the two losses, New York has fallen back into last place in the NL East. Up next for the Mets, Freddie Peralta will get the start in this afternoon series finale, with New York trying to avoid being swept. First pitch from Seattle is scheduled for 3:40 p.m. In the Bronx, the Yankees dropped their series opener 9-4 against the visiting Cleveland Guardians. Paul Goldschmidt homered and knocked in all 4 runs for the Yanks, who lost for only the second time in 8 games. They played without slugger Aaron Judge, who has a bone bruise in his upper right rib that is causing pain in his right shoulder. The 3-time MVP missed his first game this season after he underwent testing Monday that revealed the bruise and was consulting with a team doctor yesterday, so we'll keep a very keen eye on that. Starter Cam Schlittler allowed 5 runs, 4 earned, and 5 hits in the season low, 4 1/3 innings of work. Up next for the Yankees, the ace Garrett Cole will get the start in tonight's middle game of this 3-game set, scheduled for a 7:05 p.m. first pitch from Yankee Stadium. Stanley Cup Finals got underway last night out in Carolina. It was the Golden Knights edging out the Hurricanes 5-4. So Vegas now leads that series 1-0. That is your sports, Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:18. The White House says President Trump pushing to lower drug prices for everyday Americans. Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Oz, he announced that 160 more drugs are going to be added to the Trump RX website.
Almost 1 in 3 Americans, when they go to a pharmacy to pick up a medication that their doctors prescribe for them, leaves empty-handed because they can't afford the medication, especially for branded products.
Yeah, and that's outrageous.
These medications, especially going into the future, will be priced at the same amount as the rest of the world. It doesn't mean price fixing. We're not telling pharmaceutical companies what to charge. We're saying to them, whatever you charge us, you got to charge the other folks. The Council of Economic Advisors estimated that the benefit of the president's negotiated program is about $600 billion over the next 10 years. $600 billion of savings.
Dr. Oz also talking about the fact that the federal government's new Medicaid work requirement guidance for states, he called the rules that were announced yesterday beautifully written.
So as a path to prosperity, Congress very wisely said, let's get you back into the workforce. Let's require you to get free health care coverage, to be able to work for 20 hours a week or volunteer to make up the difference if you haven't worked 20 hours, or get an education.
So beginning next year, many adults who use Medicaid will need to work, attend school, or do community service for at least 80 hours a month to keep their coverage.
You are going to get something that of value from the American people. There should be some obligation if you're able to. If you're not able to, if you're disabled, if you're in one of the categories that are well defined in general, not able to work, it's different. But if you can work, you should get up and work again.
Yeah, there are exemptions for those who are pregnant, postpartum, disabled, medically frail, among other things. 5:20, let's go overseas. Israeli airstrikes continue across Lebanon. Hezbollah has been firing rockets and drones into northern Israel. Correspondent Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv. It comes after President Trump says he talked with both sides and they agreed to halt their attacks, but then they started attacking each other again.
Hezbollah says that it's meant to apply to all Israeli military action across Lebanon, which would mean they wouldn't be able to strike in the south. Israel has said that Hezbollah needs to stop their fire entirely, but that Israel will not strike in Beirut, but that they are allowed to continue operating in southern Lebanon.
A ceasefire in Lebanon has become a main sticking point as Iran and the U.S. negotiate to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Kuwait's military saying this morning that drone and missile strikes that hit a terminal at Kuwait's airport caused significant material damage, wounded several people. This morning also, Iran's Revolutionary Guard says retaliatory strikes should serve as a lesson for the U.S. after it fired a barrage of missiles and drones at Kuwait and Bahrain. Now, U.S. Central Command says it conducted some self-defense strikes on Iran, so it doesn't seem like we're too close to a peace deal there this morning. 5:22. Secretary of State Marco Rubio testifying yesterday before the House and Senate on his department's 2027 budget request as those peace talks with Iran remain at a standstill.
Their internal regime is somewhat fractured in the sense of it takes days to get responses from their system. We can go into more depth in your follow-up questions, but we're hopeful that something like that could happen, in which the straits would reopen. We would enter into a period of negotiations.
Secretary of State was also facing questions about the U.S. efforts to bring political and economic stability to Cuba.
There is the prospect before us, which could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, that for the first time, certainly in my memory, they have agreed to negotiate aspects of their nuclear program that just a month ago or just a year ago, they were refusing to even mention.
He's talking about Iran there. 5:22. The month of June is crunch time for the Supreme Court, which is poised to issue opinions in more than 24 cases before the summer recess. One is over whether states can allow a 5-day grace period for mail-in ballots received after Election Day to be counted.
There's actually a case now which argues ballots have to be received by Election Day.
That's Josh Blackman with the South Texas College of Law. He says the biggest case that remains is over birthright citizenship. A lower court blocked President Trump's order, which told U.S. agencies not to recognize the citizenship of children born in the U.S. if neither parent is an American citizen or a green card holder. 5:23, former Long Island Congressman George Santos may be in trouble again.
The former Republican congressman from New York was expelled from the House in 2023 and sent to prison on federal fraud charges, but was then pardoned by President Trump 2 years later. On Tuesday, the New York Times says Santos was being investigated again, this time for alleged insider trading on the Kalshi prediction market. The report says online bettors were wagering on the guest list for the president's State of the Union address last February. Santos said before the speech that he would be attending, but then didn't show. Sources allege that Santos bet against himself. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
I saw that some reporters reached out to him yesterday to ask him about this, and he claimed that he knew nothing about it. 5:24, Republican state senators tried to block 5 of the governor's appointees to the Board of Parole hearings in California. This is this Board of Parole that paroled 2 serial child molesters earlier this year. So the Republicans are trying to stop Governor there, Newsom, from putting more people on this board because they said he's done a terrible job with the people who are already appointed. So they tried to get in the way of these appointments yesterday.
These are decisions that defy common sense.
Yeah, so the issue here is the Democrats have a lot of power in California. Not clear whether they'll be able to stop these nominations.
I believe they are following the law that they are given, and they are doing it faithfully.
Those are people defending those people on the Board of Parole. 525 down to Texas. We've been telling you about this flesh-eating insect that can devastate cattle herds. They're really worried about this in Texas because they say the New World screw worm fly, which, by the way, is just a fantastic name, is knocking on Texas's doorstep, coming in from Mexico. And each time we get a report about this, it seems like they've had sightings of this New World screwworm fly closer and closer to the Texas border.
Mexico reported 8 new detections. One of those was a 5-year-old goat approximately 25 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border.
Yeah, it's awfully close. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins calls it a serious threat to the livestock industry. She blamed Mexico for allowing the insect to advance north, along with the cartel smuggling of people and animals. They say that's another way it could get into the U.S.
This is, of course, our closest confirmed detection to date. There is no doubt that this is a very, very serious threat.
Yeah, that detection 25 miles south of the Texas border with Mexico is frightening. And while we're down in Texas, beef prices setting records thanks in large part to dwindling cow herds, especially in Texas. Texas A&M economist David Anderson says there's signs of a rebound. Now, part of the issue the reason beef prices are so high is because these herds are dying off because there continues to be a drought.
We're starting to see some evidence that maybe some herd rebuilding is trying to start. The number of young animals held to become cows to enter the herd, that was up a little bit compared to a year ago. We've got prices to ranchers that return them to some profitability. We have to have that economic component to be able to expand.
Yes, the process, though, is a slow one to rebuild a herd, and they say that could take years, which means those beef prices could be higher than they have been in the next couple of years.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 3rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunny and warm today, the high 82. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 63. And then Thursday, even warmer, sunshine, high 86. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 61 and clear in Glen Cove out on Long Island. It's 56 and clear in Princeton over in New Jersey. And it's 58 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540, a Long Island story we told you about earlier this week ends up being even sadder than we initially thought. A 28-year-old Massapequa, Long Island man died in his father's arms as his shocked mom looked on following apparently some sort of hookup that had gone wrong early Monday. 22-year-old Kristen Scully. She's facing second-degree murder charges in the stabbing of Robert Carragher. She allegedly snuck into the victim's basement apartment in the middle of the night for some sort of pre-arranged liaison before stabbing Robert to death in his own bed. Apparently, at some point, he either moved or screamed for his father's help, and that's how he ended up dying in his father's arms. I mean, just awful.
The individual who died in his father's arms. No family should ever have to bear witness to their son being killed in that manner.
Yeah, that's the police. The two, Kristen and Robert, had a friendship. That's what we're being told. They knew each other for several years. That's what a detective says. Last night, there was a vigil for Robert.
He was only 28 years old, and for something like that to happen to somebody so young,
it's just very shocking. He was a good guy.
That vigil taking place after Scully was arraigned on a second-degree murder charge in Hempstead Court yesterday afternoon, ordered held without bail at the Nassau County Jail.
It makes you lose faith in humanity a little bit, thinking that someone could just take someone's life so easily like that. It's a really messed up thing.
Nobody should ever have to ever experience anything like that. Them, the parents, anything.
He was just a funny person. Walked in the room, always had something funny to say.
Yeah, way too young to die. 5:42, while we're out on Long Island, a Freeport dad is not going to win Father of the Year. He was in court yesterday after allegedly using his 13-year-old daughter to sell drugs. Nassau County Police say Julio Emmanuel Pena arranged to sell cocaine to a customer, and he had his 13-year-old daughter deliver the drugs and collect the cash. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Pena was arrested at his home this week. Additional substances believed to be cocaine were recovered during the arrest. Neighbors say, what kind of sicko dad does this to his 13-year-old daughter?
Because they didn't have a responsible parent that was teaching them the right things, it often leads to more misguidance. So, you just got to pray for that girl. That's all.
And there was an issue yesterday in court. Pena was joined by his parents as they faced a judge. The judge said he was somewhat uncomfortable not issuing a full order of protection for that 13-year-old girl because Pena is her sole parent. He's been charged with all kinds of things, including criminal possession of controlled substance and obviously all charges connected to his young daughter. 5:43, let's go down to Atlantic City, New Jersey, where 2 Atlantic City police officers were shot, and the man they were trying to arrest, he's dead following an incident that began around 3 p.m. yesterday as the officers were serving a search warrant. The Atlantic City Police Department said in a statement that one officer sustained life-threatening injuries. The other officer's injuries are non-life-threatening. They didn't give us a lot of detail about exactly what took place, but it seems as though they showed up, the bullets flew as they showed up to serve this warrant. And, here's the police.
I'm sorry,
this is the mayor of Atlantic City.
Thank God that one of the officers was wearing a helmet. My thoughts and prayers goes out to the 2 officers, their families, and the 5 men and women in blue of the Atlantic City Police Department.
So they haven't given us any names this morning. The male suspect that they were trying to serve the warrant to, he later died in the hospital. They have not identified the officers, but again, one of them had life-threatening injuries. No update on him as of yet this morning. Of course, as we get one, we will pass that on to you. In a moment, we'll go back underground. Another sighting of the sewer people. It just gets weirder by the day. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Spoilers. Go to peerlesspoilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Spoilers, the world's best built boilers. Those guys better get out of the damn sewers in time for this tip-off tonight, 8:30 p.m.
I bet they will.
Yeah, right? I mean, everybody's going to be watching this, unless they got TVs down there.
You might be able to get a reception down
there. You don't need a satellite dish anymore, right? Just need a little internet connection, a little hotspot, and you're good to go.
I don't know if Wi-Fi works on the subway sometimes.
Get yourself a hotspot.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those,
that's true.
Yeah, come on now. Yeah. It's 2026 now. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are looking ahead to tonight, 8:30 p.m. out in San Antonio. Knicks and Spurs, game 1 of the NBA Finals. Knicks heading in as 4.5-point road underdogs for game 1. On the diamond in Seattle, the Mets lost 8-3 to the Mariners in the middle game of a 3-game interleague set, dropping the first 2 and the series in the process. They fell back into last place in the NL East as well. Freddie Peralta will get the start in this afternoon's series finale, with New York trying to avoid being swept. First pitch from Seattle, scheduled for 3:40 p.m. In the Bronx, Yankees dropped their series opener 9-4 against the visiting Cleveland Guardians. They played without slugger Aaron Judge, who has a bone bruise in his upper right rib that is causing pain in his right shoulder. We'll keep a close eye on Judge and his status. Up next for the Yankees, the ace Garrett Cole will get the start in tonight's middle game of this 3-game series, scheduled for a 7:05 p.m. first pitch from Yankee Stadium. And the Stanley Cup Finals got underway last night and started with a Golden Knights victory, 5-4 over the Carolina Hurricanes out in Carolina. So Vegas up in that series now, 1-0. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Former Long Island Congressman George Santos, who went to prison last year on federal fraud charges after being ousted from Congress, is now under scrutiny for his trading on prediction markets. He could be in trouble again here if these reports are true, that the prediction site Kalshi identified suspicious activity in a market about whether the former Republican lawmaker would attend the State of the Union address this year. Traders on Kalshi placed millions of dollars in bets on who would attend President Trump's speech, including Santos. Santos had publicly said before the speech that he would be attending, but ultimately he did not show. Now, sources say that Kalshi determined an account that made money belonged to Santos. They froze that account and referred it to the matter to the Justice Department and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. A separate source confirming to the New York Times that the CFTC, which regulates prediction markets, is also investigating the matter. Now, not good news for Santos, who was serving a 7-year sentence for aggravated identity theft, wire fraud related to his 2022 midterm campaign when President Trump commuted his sentence last year. He spent less than 3 months in prison. If this ends up being true, unfortunately, he may end up back behind bars. WABC News Time 550. Mayor Mamdani not ruling out limiting screen time for students in public schools across the city. It comes as Governor Kathy Hochul announced earlier this week that limiting the use of phones in schools, bell-to-bell ban, has been huge. That kids are more productive, they pay attention, they talk to each other. So maybe, just maybe, they should limit the use of laptops and iPads in schools.
I'm looking forward to considering any additional suggestions there are to make for a more productive learning environment.
Yeah, the mayor yesterday asked about guardrails surrounding AI and things like this. This is what he had to say.
Our administration as a whole is engaging with the topic of AI and seeing how we can ensure that we're responsibly stewarding not only our school system but our city through a moment of immense transformation.
Now, the mayor asked about that during a separate press conference. He was talking about opening applications for its first 2K programs. Mayor Mamdani announcing the applications launch on the Rockaway Beach Boardwalk, where one of the first free 2K programs will start up next fall.
Some of the places that we're so excited to introduce free childcare for 2-year-olds to are the very places that are often last on the list. And so we want to make sure that parents know that those days are over, that now we are here in the Rockaways to begin a transformative program, not to end it.
The mayor says families in 4 district communities will be applying for the first 2,000 seats through June 26, and offers will be released sometime in August.
Instead of stressing about how they'll be able to afford childcare come the fall, instead of picking up extra shifts or working overtime, parents can come to this beach with their children without having to worry.
Yeah, so the plan is to open 2K programs to 12,000 families in every borough by next year and expand it to all schools over the next 4 years. While we're talking, one more story about the mayor. Maybe you heard the story that the New York Post had yesterday that Mayor Mamdani is considering taking Mayor Ed Koch's name off the Queensboro Bridge because people are upset about how he handled the 1980s AIDS crisis. So New Yorkers were weighing in on this. They were asked, do you think Mayor Mamdani should take Ed Koch's name off the bridge?
What's he ever done for us? There's many, many more deserving cultural figures that could be on the bridge.
There was a reason why we put the names on. I don't think that we should take them off.
So Koch was a World War II vet. He served 3 terms as mayor. His former mayor, Mike Bloomberg, who dedicated the bridge to Koch back in 2011, 2 years before the Koch died at the age of 88. But this is all coming under fire because of the 1980 AIDS crisis. So New Yorkers trying to decide whether this is the right thing to do. They should keep Koch's name right where it is.
You know, they always want to dedicate it to somebody new, but they forget about everybody old. So I don't know. I believe in leaving it the way it was. History is history. So I don't really recognizing new people until, you know, later on in life. They build a new bridge, then they can rename it.
Yeah. 553. All right. Every day we've done a sewer people story, because it's just such an odd story. If you haven't been following this, you're under a rock somewhere. There's been these viral videos that have gone around since early May of crews of men in high waters flashlights on their foreheads or lights on their foreheads, shovels in their hand, opening up manholes 2 times in Brooklyn, going down below, searching apparently for valuables. Police do not think these crews are up to anything sinister. They apparently have seen this before. So now there's another documented case of a sewer incursion. This one was in Queens. An auto repair shop owner there was working the overnight hours at his shop in Astoria when he made eye contact with some sewer explorers as they lowered themselves down into one.
3 random guys walking around in a strange suit. Open the sewer, go in like the Ninja Turtles. I was looking at them, they were looking at me. I could tell they're up to no good.
Yeah, so he had no idea what they were doing, but he was like, okay, I better call 911. He did.
Went in there, closed the cover, like, they were never here. Those 2 strange cars just randomly pulled up waiting for them, and one of my guys called 911.
Now, the question, of course, people are asking themselves is, are there things that are that valuable down in the sewer? Because that's the thought, is that they're down there collecting things that New Yorkers lost. But what could that be? And how long does it take to find it? And what kind of muck do you have to go through? And if you're in high waters, and boots, it just must be so incredibly nasty down there.
You're like, I saw this happen in front of my shop. That's when we actually released the video when we saw, it was going on in multiple areas.
And then you had the city really pushing back against this because now it looks like there's copycats, other people who want to go into the sewer. So the Department of Environmental Protection, some other agencies putting people out yesterday saying, no, it's not a good idea to go into the sewer looking for valuables because all kinds of terrible things can happen to you down below.
It's dangerous. It's the same as jaywalking or walking down the middle of a highway.
So if they choose the wrong one, they could end up in real trouble.
They could be electrocuted. They could be overcome. There's gas lines down there. There's electrical lines down there.
And then I would imagine there's a lot of rats down there too that you have to be watching out for. The FIFA World Cup trophy made its way to New York City yesterday. Mayor Mamdani was there as it was brought to the Museum of Natural History on the Upper West Side of the World Cup. The final is going to be played right here in the New York City area, over in the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium, which has, I guess, been renamed for the World Cup. So he was there, the mayor, who's a big soccer fan himself, to see the trophy be brought in.
In a little less than 2 months, just a few miles from where we stand today, this trophy will be lifted again. More than 1 billion people across the world will watch.
It is a big deal, even though it's not as big of a deal here in the U.S. The World Cup trophy will make its way to the American Dream Mall in East Rutherford today, so people in New Jersey can see it. It'll be on display there from 12 until 9 o'clock tonight. And the mayor talking about the fact that it was pretty cool to get a close-up with the trophy yesterday since he's such a huge soccer fan.
Here's the good news for those arriving in New York soon for the World Cup. Greatness in this city is not actually rare, and it is not limited to the pitch. It exists in museums like this one, with its incredible collection of dinosaur bones and whales suspended from ceilings.
Yeah, so, by the way, the World Cup gets underway in, a little more than a week.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?